Welcome to the Drum Set Therapy Podcast. My name is Stefano Ashbridge, and this is a show about the challenges that come with playing the drums and what you can do about them so you enjoy your drumming journey. Visit drumlessonsinla.com for online and in-person drum coaching. Today we're talking about drum set etiquette when playing someone else's drums. If you've ever gone to a jam session or a gig where multiple drummers are sharing one kit, you know things can get awkward. Can you move the throne? Can you raise or lower the snare drum? Knowing some basic drum set etiquette can show respect and make you look professional. Here are some tips for sharing the kit. 1. Always ask before adjusting things. If you know ahead of time you'll be sharing a drum set, you can discuss who is providing what and what they're comfortable with. You can let them know, for example, that you're 6'7" and like to sit really high with the cymbals tilted. In any case, it's good to ask if you can raise or lower the throne or the snare. 2. Consider bringing your own essentials. If the drummer whose kit you'll be playing is not comfortable with you moving much, consider bringing certain things such as your own cymbals. Good cymbals are expensive, and it's understandable if the drummer doesn't want to share their cymbals. If you have a distinct snare sound, for example, you like to tune it really low with a lot of muffling, consider bringing your own snare. It's probably impractical to completely detune the snare that's provided and then tune it back up after you're done. I definitely recommend bringing your own sticks. Stick sizes are pretty personal and people play different sizes. But even if you're comfortable playing whatever size is there, the drummer might have a certain number of sticks and they don't want anyone to break or lose their sticks because they'll be performing soon. And if you're used to a certain tension on your bass drum pedal, consider bringing your own. Another thing you can consider bringing is the throne. I like to be very comfortable with mine, and if there's one that's really hard and uncomfortable, I'd rather sit on my own. 3. Don't over-tighten or force the hardware. If you need to adjust the tom, for example, loosen the wing nut and move it where you need it and tighten it back up. Don't just yank the tom over to where you want it. That damages the gear. 5. Leave everything how you found it. Before you play, take note of what you move. If you lowered the throne or if you moved the snare or angled the cymbal, put it back when you're done. A few seconds of courtesy goes a long way. 6. Respect people's time. At a jam session or open mic, if each drummer gets 15 minutes to play, make sure you leave enough time to move things back without going over your time limit. Everyone sets up differently, and there isn't an exact standard for how everyone likes to play, but if you moved anything to an extreme height or angle, it's probable that the drummer after you won't need it that way. These tips are helpful for when you share someone else's kit, but the other side of that coin is when you're asked to share your kit. If you're willing to share yours, these tips are something to consider communicating to the other drummers what you're comfortable with. My first experience sharing my kit was a long time ago. It was my first drum set. I saved up money to buy it, and we were playing outdoors, and the drummer before me asked if he could play my drum set. I reluctantly said yes. And I wasn't there for that drummer's performance, but when I got back, the drummer was nowhere to be found, the tom arm was stripped, and the tom was laying against the bass drum with a big gash on the bass drum. So it didn't go very well. I remember finding a thick piece of mattress memory foam that I cut and put it on top of the bass drum for the tom to lay against so that I can play it. And fast forward 30-something years, now when I know I'll have to share my drum set, I have multiple drum sets and I won't bring my most expensive one. I don't want any of my drum sets to get damaged, but if one is going to be damaged, I'd rather it not be one of my prized possessions. And also I have plenty of hardware so I can bring stands that I don't mind if they're moved. When sharing your kit, it's okay to have stipulations for what you're comfortable with, especially if you don't know the other drummers. It's good to be accommodating and easygoing, but not if your drums get damaged. So the big takeaway is drum etiquette boils down to communication and respect. Respect the gear and the other musicians. Thanks for listening. Visit drumlessonsnla.com for online and in-person drum coaching. Till next time.